Welcome to another episode of The Laws That Matter. I'm Carissa Kranz, and today we have an exciting episode for you you're not going to want to miss. We have Sahsha Campbell. She's an international speaker, author, life coach, and she's going to tell us the secret on how to live a life of love and light. So, Sahsha, thank you so much for joining me. You're certainly a plant-based powerhouse girl boss, and I'm just so thrilled to have you here today to talk to me.
Thank you, Carissa, for having me. I've been hearing and seeing your show, and it is an honor to be on here. You are a powerhouse as well, so I think we naturally came together. So thank you.
So tell me, what is your vegan story and background?
Well, I have an interesting background in my journey to being plant-based. Once upon a time, I grew up like everyone. I don't want to say everyone else because you did not grow up this way, but most people in the United States, particularly myself, who comes from an immigrant family, we grew up eating meat. We grew up saying that you don't waste any part of the meat. So you eat all of the parts. And that was just part of what was normal for myself. And then I had an uncle who started to have his own spiritual journey. And in his spiritual journey, he stopped eating pork. And I don't know what it was about that something went off in me at 16. And I said, well, I'm going to stop eating pork too. If he's going to do it, I'm going to stop eating pork too. And I stopped eating pork. And then when I got to college, I want
to back up because what's that aha moment you're talking about? Mm-hmm. Everyone has it, right? Mm-hmm. And even if you say I didn't grow up that way. Okay, yes, I was a vegan from birth in terms of diet, but I've had aha moments in terms of fashion and textiles and, everything, leather, purses. So we all have that aha moment. So what was it? Was it about your uncle's story with, I'm not going to eat pork anymore that gave you that aha? Was it that you looked up to him and you wanted to be like him? Or was it that you made a connection to the pig? Or what was it?
I feel it was definitely more someone who was embedded in our traditional culture and tradition. What made him veer left? It was kind of my thought because I've always been a little off. I was always a little different. So I was attracted to the Pardon?
Maybe you're more of an independent thinker.
I was more of an independent thinker, but that phrase didn't exist. That, that was just like, my child's just special. It was got that kind of thing, And it was something about what made him change in the world of tradition, in the world of conformity. Wow, you're not eating pork? Well, maybe it's something in not eating pork that opens your mind. At 16, that's how I equated. And I do. I mean, I love my uncle. I come from a family of a lot of men. And I do love my uncle. And I said, let me just go down this path. And the fact that he was exploring something different in spirituality really got to me because everyone was either traditional Christian or Catholic. And he was taking this other path that led him not to eat pork. And that's what I was like, I'm going to try this too.
You expanded your consciousness. There was a conscious awakening. And then you said, let me add and build upon that and explore this, which is what happens when our consciousness gets awakened and alerted. There's always an expansion. And the human brain only uses, I think, 10% capacity, period. No matter how enlightened you are, no matter how much you meditate, there's 90% of our brains that we're not using. So I remember I've gone through, I wrote my book and I was getting all these principles on the laws that matter and all these downloads. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to run out of information. This is all coming out at once. Mm-hmm. And what I realized is the more I opened up and allowed the information to come, the more of a flood it was of information flooding through, because it just really is an unlimited intelligence source that we have access to.
Absolutely. Once we take the lid off what we think our experience can be, that's when the floodgates open up. It's almost like you have to allow in you have to be a little receptive, just a little. That's that little crack. Mm-hmm. And then after that, like you said, the floodgates open. And a lot of us right now are, not now, I would say a lot of us now are opening up. But before, a lot of us were so afraid to open up the crack a little more, even though they had a curiosity about it. But it's almost like in scripture, in the Bible, it says when you take one step towards God, God takes 2 steps towards you. That's any area of your life.
Right. And to just go on that, along with that, I think sometimes we don't open up because we don't want to know, because it's not convenient to know.
Oh yeah, because knowing yields responsibility. Mm-hmm. Knowing means confronting people that see things different than you, or that used to feel a certain way, and now you're like, hey, by the way, I see this as different. And they're like, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing that? And no matter what, humans love to be supported. They love to be understood. They love to feel that they are one of the crew. Yeah. And anything that takes you out of that, even potentially will take you out of that, you're like, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to do it. So responsibility is a big deal. No one wants to be responsible, or a lot of people don't want to be responsible.
All right. So your uncle had this aha spiritual awakening moment. He says, I'm not going to eat pork anymore. And you're 16 years old and you say, okay, I'm inspired by this decision. I don't want to eat pork either. Then what?
Then I stopped eating pork for a little while, maybe like a year or two. Then I got into college, took a nutrition class, and I just thought I was fulfilling a prerequisite. Took the nutrition class, and they showed animal slaughter, like how it goes from the animal to your plate. And once again, that's something that it's not taught in schools. Nothing, honestly, that I ever even thought about.
Most people don't.
You don't. You just think pork is pork. And then pig is the animal, but you don't correlate the two. It's just not in our curriculum. So when I saw the video, thinking I'm just here taking notes for my prerequisite, I was moved to tears, and it threw me off. I was like, what is going on? I'm crying about the slaughter, because once again, and I've always loved animals. As a child, I would always bring home some stray pet. My dad was like, oh, what she got now? I brought home a stray cat. We had birds, we had lizards, just the whole shot. And that's the beauty of my family being from the Caribbean, is that they're used to having those type of pets too. But I would bring home any stray that I could get away with. A bird got injured in our backyard, and I cried to my dad, Dad, please, let's take him to get fixed. Let's take him to the animal shelter. And it was far from our house. Far from my dad was like 30 minutes, right? So he's like, oh, but he drove the bird to get his wing fixed, and they, let him off. So I've always loved animals, but I didn't think I was going to have this effect, watching the video was going to have this effect on me, and it did. And after that, I brought lunch, and my lunch, I was in junior college, and in fact, I was going to school with my father, and he used to bring me lunch from home, and it was chicken and rice and some veggies, and I was like, I'm not eating the chicken. He's like, you ain't wasting that chicken, give it to me. I was like, here, fine. And from that on, it led me into 5 years of being a vegetarian. And I don't remember.
So your uncle inspired you to take the step, which then you built upon and took maybe years later, but you took the next step. Now you're bringing the awakening to your father. Did he make any connection?
No, he did not.
Okay.
And in that, like in life, I learned the importance of non-judgment.
Yeah.
And understanding that no matter how passionate I or you or anybody is about any cause, every human incarnated in this planet is on their own journey.
Yes, we're all in a process. We're all human. We're all subject to the human condition, the human dilemma, and none of us are perfect in human form. We just have a purpose. And sometimes we were talking before this show started, which I say I'm guilty of. We can speak well about what our purpose is, and we can even understand it on a higher level of consciousness, but that doesn't mean we live it and live out our own advice. We know better. We know, like so many times in life, we know. But I mean, just think about a breakup or something in life. When you're going through something, you shouldn't be feeling a certain way or doing a certain thing or acting a certain way. Same thing with meat on your plate or whatever it is. But there's that human side of us that just gives into emotion or temptation or whatever that physical thing is in this world that has us here in this human form.
And I think once you see it like that, Carissa, that's how you embrace being your whole human experience, your whole human and spiritual existence. It's not to be perfection. It's understanding that we were born perfect, and walking out our destiny and our path is perfection. With the stumbles is perfection. With the scrapes and the falls is perfection. With the slip ups is perfection. So it's really about redefining what the human experience is all about. And so with my dad, no, he didn't have an awakening at that time. And, he's not plant-based or anything like that now. But the beautiful thing is, over the years, he has had moments that he's paused from, eating meat. He has had those moments, and I have to respect him for that, because if that's my father, he's older than me, the indoctrination is much deeper. And just respecting him for that. Him not judging me in that moment either. And say, okay, once again, I'm that special child. Okay, Sasha's just doing something now. She ain't eating me. All right, fine, And then for 5 years, I was a vegetarian. I don't recall the term vegan in those times. I know it was around, but it wasn't something familiar to me. It's just very popular to be a vegetarian.
You know what? That's actually very true, because I grew up vegan, but when I was younger, I didn't say I was vegan. I said I was vegetarian, but I don't eat milk and dairy. That's how I would basically say it. Oh no, I'm vegetarian, but I don't eat cheese and I don't drink milk. Like, that's what I would say to people, because I didn't say vegan. It wasn't a word that we used.
Right. I didn't use it, even though I was a true vegetarian at the time. I ate cheese, I ate eggs. For me, all I needed was let go of the flesh. I never was a milk drinker, so I didn't drink milk, but of course I had milk. Milk was in the cheese, or milk was in the cookies, or whatever, and that was it. And then it's funny, like the minute I took that step into being a vegetarian, I felt like I started to meet all these vegetarians. And here we are in the 90s, and in an urban area, and you think you're like the lone wolf. And then it's like, oh, I'm a vegetarian too. Or I just started last week too. So it was really, really cool to participate in that. A beautiful thing I learned in that was, even though I was vegetarian, I wasn't healthy. I didn't know how to eat. I just knew that I was not going to eat meat. So I ate a lot of potatoes. I ate a lot of cheese, a lot of spaghetti, and that type of thing. My ideal of having a vegetarian meal, if it wasn't cooked on my own, was to go to a fast food place. And one of my favorite places I would go to was Taco Bell. And I would say, I want a Mexican pizza with no meat. And I was like, yes, and for me, I respect that. That's just how it was. I was a broke college student, and you ate that kind of way. And I just knew that I wasn't going to have meat in anything that I ate. And that continued for about 5 years. And until one day, early 2000s, I felt ill, and I wasn't looking good, like in my eyes and my skin. And my mom, being a mama bear, just said, you need to have a seat. I was, in school working. So I was, already physically, physiologically taxed, emotionally taxed as it is. And then you could only do so well eating Taco Bell all the time. Mom said, I'm going to cook something for you, and you're going to eat it because I'm concerned. And she cooked food for me, and it included some chicken, and I ate it. And I stopped being a vegetarian for many years. Like 15 years, I just went back to eating normal. I did. And I love to share that story, because
that's an important story.
We're so used to being in guilt.
And a lot of people fall off the vegetarian, vegan bandwagon because of what they're not eating right. Something's wrong. They lose their nutrition. They don't feel well. They might become anemic. I've seen that happen to my friends, because I remember when I was in middle school and high school, a lot of my friends became inspired to be vegan or vegetarian because I awakened their awareness to their compassion for animals. And maybe they did it a year or 2 or 3, and then they stopped. And that's an important story, the ability to go back.
The ability to go back. And I could honestly say that perhaps I suppressed it, but I didn't feel bad about it at the time. I just was like, okay, that was good for then. I can do it. And I just kind of kept on going. And I don't want people to feel guilty about the stumbles, because that's what really builds character. That's what really builds awareness and alignment. Where am I now? Why am I here? Where do I need to go? If everything is smooth sailing, you don't question a lot. You don't tap into your higher self a lot, because everything's in alignment. Let's face it. When everything's a party, we're not questioning anything. We don't want the party to end. We just want to keep on going. So the party has to shut off in order for us to question our direction. So I'm very thankful that I had that. So fast forward 2014, we were living in Georgia for many years, came back home, and I just had my daughter a little bit before, and I kind of just wanted to get back healthy. And I really started to pay attention to my eating. I started swapping. I had never been big. And after I had my daughter, that weight was still kind of hanging around. I was like, what's going on here? And, I did everything right. I breastfed, and, I walked and did all that. And it could have been because I had her in my mid-30s. It could have been whatever, but the weight didn't just fall off. Mm-hmm. So I really wanted to start getting back. I wanted to feel good. It wasn't like I wanted to feel like my old self. I just wanted to feel good. And I knew that I wasn't feeling good, right? So I began swapping up my breakfast with smoothies. And this is when NutriBullets like really got popular. Girl, I couldn't even buy a NutriBullet all flat out. I was on a payment plan. That's when NutriBullet used to allow like a payment plan, like 3 payments of $33 or something like that. So I did that and I started swapping out my breakfast with smoothies. And when I tell you, I dumped everything in those smoothies, greens, apple cider vinegar, pineapples. I mean, it was just like a hodgepodge of just nutrition. Didn't always taste good, but I felt the difference in my body. So I began swapping out my breakfast. So, you know, away with the eggs and the turkey bacon, in with the greens, in with the nourishment, in with the rich source of energy, right? And then I was building up on my running because I'd always been like a runner. And I was able to run from just walking on the treadmill to jogging on the treadmill to actually running on the treadmill, then taking that outside and running a half a mile, then running back a mile because my knees and my joints were really starting to bother me because I had all this extra weight. And then from there, got back home and just, I went out, my in-laws came in town and we went to dinner. One of those moments again at Cheesecake Factory, girl, we're eating. And I had a pizza. And at the time, the pizza didn't have meat on it. So I know I was going somewhere in my spirit, in my mind. And after I ate the pizza, they had a bunch of chicken wings and everything. And I was like, I'm done. That's just what I was like. I'm done. My husband's like, what? Now, mind you, my husband doesn't know the vegetarian Sahsha. When we met, I was full on eating whatever I wanted to. Matter of fact, we met over eating chicken wings. So what do you mean you're done? Like, we'll talk in the morning, right? So I just kind of gave him background. He was very supportive. And it was 4th of July weekend. So very supportive of the journey. And here we are now. And what is that? 15, 20, going on 6 years. Yes.
And your husband, what's his role in your journey? Is he joined in? Is he a bystander?
He joined in for a while. He actually went plant-based for like a year, like 2 years. It was really, really good. But me understanding and honoring him for who he is and his journey when he went back on, I said, okay. And, you know, a lot of people are like, it's hard to live with someone that's not a vegan.
Yeah. It's hard to have a whole show on that. We could talk about that for an hour because I hear that a lot of people are on different paths of the journey. And this is one thing that's really hard about a relationship. It's 2 people coming together in their lives and trying to merge, and you're not always on the same page. And when it comes to something as deep as this, when it's not a choice of a diet, but it's more of a choice of a lifestyle of compassion, and you make that connection, sometimes it's very hard for other people who are in a relationship with someone who cannot make that connection or makes the connection, but is willing to turn it off and ignore it. I've seen many relationships fall apart over this.
Yes, it does happen. It does happen. And the one thing I think it was never a topic of, well, if you're not this way, I'm going to break up with you, because he was the man that I loved and his heart is worth its weight in gold. And I feel very fortunate to be in a loving relationship with someone like that. Let's just be clear. So I think it really came from a space of, I'm doing this because I love myself first. Therefore, I am going to always embrace those people that support me as who I am, as opposed to, why did you guys divorce? Oh, because he's eating and wearing animals. Part of relationships this is part of the growth of a relationship. There's going to come points and times. It's not all bliss. It's not all wedding bells and white flowers and doves and all that. It just isn't. Hey, Paige, I see you. Yes, yes, yes. It's not always that. It's about respecting. Just like I have learned to respect living things, I have to respect him as a living thing and where he is on his journey as a living thing. Just like I have learned to respect animals as living sentient beings with feelings and that type of stuff too. So it's just a matter of respect. He doesn't tread on me. I don't tread on him. And the beautiful thing is, no way or nowhere is he a vegan. However, he he's come to the point that he doesn't have to have meat. And for me, that means something. That means something for his bloodline, our bloodline, for people that know him, family that know him, and to see that he can do that and how it's just improved his health. Just being consciously aware of things means a lot to me, and it's benefit him so much. He's grown so much. We've both grown so much since we first met that I cannot ignore that because he's consuming flesh when he does. It's not always about when you're with someone, you're going to like everything they do. They don't like everything I do. I'm not easy to be with at all at times. Mm-hmm. But how that we can come to not even a middle ground, but at an apex that we love anyway. And that's what I think really being a vegan is about. It's about loving anyway. This is a love movement. Mm-hmm. It hurts my heart when I see the separatism that has been involved in veganism, like it is in racism, like it is in capitalism, like mm-hmm. it is classism. Mm-hmm. We cannot let it get that way. Mm-hmm. We cannot let it get that way. Mm-hmm. We have to learn how to be compassionate, because part of compassion is understanding, mm-hmm. not agreeing, but understanding that we are all in different places. And if the Most High is respecting me in my place, the Most High is respecting him in his. It's not about me agreeing. It's mm-hmm. not easy, but it has to be done.
Mm-hmm. It's actually the patience in the process is what's going to help further the movement and the evolution of consciousness as well for that other person, because he's obviously aware that, you know, maybe there's a compassion link here that he's turning off. And by you supporting his process and not judging him and loving him anyway, you're giving him room to come to his own decisions and conclusions with his own awareness. Whereas if you were falling apart over it, you would probably be doing more of a disservice to the movement than a service.
Absolutely.
Because it's about compassion, right? Absolutely. So if it's compassion on your plate, it also needs to be compassion on how you relate to others. That's a good one. Compassion needs to be about compassion on how you relate.
Whoever's listening, everybody who's listening, to
write that down,
because that is Carissa's. I like that. But it's so true. And these are those uncomfortable conversations that we have to have in the movement, but really it has to happen within ourselves. I've been so different for so long, and yet people have loved me anyway. Mm-hmm. And so we have to be able to extend that type of love to people, just like we extend the type of love to reformed murderers and criminals and all that type of stuff. Because part of life is evolution, is growth. And in that, it's going to be some bumps and bruises and not agreeing with stuff.
It's a forgiveness process, forgiveness of yourself, a forgiveness of others, because we're not perfect either. So the one thing in my book, The Laws That Matter, the book that I haven't published, that I wrote about spiritual laws and universal laws and how we live in this law-based universe, one of the principles that I have in there is emotion for leniency. Mm-hmm. Like if you need to go easy on yourself sometimes, you need to forgive yourself, forgive others, just file a motion for leniency on the universe. Like just go easy on yourself. There's a process here.
I think that I cannot wait for that book to come out. But I feel that is so important. We add a lot of burdens to ourselves that weigh us down. Mm-hmm. And why my passion over the years has shifted into the emotional wellness and the emotional root of diseases is because we don't talk about how the burdens of fitting into a role or a title weigh us down and how it manifests into diseases. When we don't have leniency in ourselves, when we carry the expectations, the beliefs, the ideologies of other people on us, it weighs us down, not only emotionally, but energetically and physiologically. The root of all diseases comes from the abundance of our mental diet, the abundance of that invisible diet. We have an invisible diet that supersedes our plate. It's the one we think to ourselves, the type of conversation that we have with ourselves when we're not doing the right thing, when we're not being perfect. That kind of toxic conversation supersedes your plate. it supersedes the world, the work that you do for the world, because you're not allowing yourself that compassion.
Yeah, well, right. Consumption's all about what you think, what you eat, who's around you, all of those. So another principle in my book is voir dire, which is jury selection, right? Only as good as the people around you. So when you're picking a jury to decide the fate of that person on the stand, there's 5 to 6 people, or 12 people, if it's a grand jury, that are going to determine the fate of one person, right? So if someone's not going to be a good juror, they voir dire, they strike the juror. So same thing in life. You're only as good as those that are around you, that you allow into your inner sphere, right? So strike them, voir dire. It doesn't matter if they're, blood and family. If they're toxic to you, they're toxic and they're holding you back. It's like a cancer. So everything you allow into your body is energy, food, thoughts, the energy of others. It's all affecting your ability to show up for yourself in this world and your purpose.
Absolutely.
I think another thing that you said that's important is we are conditioned to almost have a guilty conscience, right? Which is, this guilt that you feel, that you need that motion for leniency to go easy on yourself, because we go through life conditioned like, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, I should be working, I shouldn't eat this, I shouldn't eat that. And we beat ourselves up is what we do. And we live a life beating ourselves up rather than a life that's inspired, because maybe we're going easier on ourselves.
Exactly. When you constantly live in a state of self-judgment, because the most people that are living in judgment is because they're in judgment of themselves. They're in judgment of where they are in this moment. They're in judgment of their path. They're in judgment of their understanding. They're in judgment of their existence. And when you live a life like that, there's no joy. And joy, happiness is a choice, and it's also being scientifically showed to help your body heal, to help with your mental wellness. Joy is important. I'm very passionate about teaching people to enjoy their life journey, no matter where you are right now, because the vibration of joy is so high. And when you stay in a space of high vibration, you will attract, you will emanate that environment, which is of high. So you want to make sure you're eating high vibrational foods. You're thinking high vibrational thoughts. You're allowing yourself to feel high vibrational things. Play that song you like. Dance around with no rhythm. Sing off key. Write that book. Take a dance class. Those are the things that are going to make you feel good. I don't deserve it. And that's where that battle comes in. Well, I don't deserve it because I haven't done that. What's happening now, or what I believe is happening right now, Carissa, is that we are building a new world. There's a new paradigm being established in our world that is based in compassion for all sentient beings. That is based on love. That is based on equality. That is based on all that stuff. But the movement must begin with ourself. And I tell people, this is why all the excess protesting and the rioting and all that hasn't always worked, is because we're wanting something on the outside to fix the beings on the inside. When we have whole individuals, then we have a whole movement, then we have a whole nation. So how do we tap in to making our cries being heard and being changed? When we're tapping in to ourself and allowing ourselves to be heard and changed, answering that call within ourselves.
So you have a book, right?
I do. I have 2 books. I have a book called The Well, Where Fitness Begins from Within. And last year I wrote a poetry book called Joie de Vivre in Quarantine. I wrote that in the beginning of quarantine. And I wrote all the poems within 3 days. I've always been like a closet poet, always loved poetry, never recited my poems, never did anything. So this book, I literally did unedited. I just wanted people to see how I felt in that moment, raw, breaking the chains of expectancy within myself so people could have the courage to break those chains within themselves. So it was a love project. I enjoyed it so much. And so, yeah, now I have 2 books published. So The Well is a book on, the book is in 3 parts. The first part of the book talks about my journey and how I was able to allow myself, I should say, because our body has natural healing tendencies. We don't have to do anything. You literally have to do nothing to allow your body to heal. The challenge we have in healing is that we are bombarded with thoughts, beliefs, and a program that blocks healing. So healing is not really about doing more. It's about unplugging more. It's about surrendering more. Your body is made to do what it
it's allowing.
Yeah, it's just about allowing it.
I would say that regarding Mother Nature as well. We keep trying to intervene. I mean, humans have ruined our planet, and we keep trying to do things to fix what we ruining. Whereas if we just stopped ruining and allowed the Mother Nature to self-correct, the world will self-correct. There's an intelligence and a natural order. I mean, talk about a deference to cosmic law and order on the screen. There is an intelligence and a law and order to everything on this planet, from the seed that grows into a tree, to a fruit, to the weather, to how our cosmic universe is surrounding in our solar system, of having maybe a nuclear bomb go off, right? We're always affecting everyone and everything around us. And if we just stopped, maybe everything would self-correct, heal, and reorganize. Because there was a time in this universe where humans didn't exist, and it was dinosaurs or some other organism. And it's not up to us to always fix it. It's up to us to just allow it.
Well, this ties into that theory that we've been taught that we always have to do. Doers are always doing something. So it's really about unteaching that program that says you always have to do, and really tapping into just be. We were created to be in harmony, in love, in passion, not doing work, not doing A, B, and doing politics and doing this and doing that. We have to get back to being, not carrying burdens. We don't have to do that. And once we can get out of that mindset of always having to do, we will allow, as you said, Mother Nature to do what she knows that needs to be done. We all have free will, and we're impeding on the free will of Mother Nature when we're always trying to do. Like you said, let her will be done. Just like it is in us. But it's a connection that has to be made, Carissa. There's a connection. We have to know that all parts of us, all parts of nature are this.
I'm trying to look up, because there was a quote Wayne Dyer said, and I can't find it, but it was something, and it spoke to me, and I remember it. It was something like, if you let it be done, don't try to get it done, and nothing will be left undone. I want to find the quote, because it was just
good.
It was Wayne Dyer. It was, oh man. I'm going to have to look it up and post it later. But I remember reading it, and it really spoke to me. Like, you don't have to get it done. Or you're never going to get it all done. Just let it, I think he said, be done. Nothing will be left undone. I think it was something like that. Be done, and nothing will be left undone.
Ooh, I just got to sit with that one real quick. And that's another thing. Once we sit and feel the responses in our body,
right?
We sit and feel the sensations in our body, the thoughts that we're having, we will realize how we are always in motion. In the stillness, we're always in motion. And a lot of times we like to say, I'm working on my passion. A lot of times we're doing what we think our passion should be and expressing it that way, as opposed to being the movement, being the cause, being the expression. Pausing allows us to hear the pivot, go left, go right. Don't go anywhere at all. But if we're always doing, we can't hear the messages of divine. Same thing with Mother Earth. We're always doing, let's drill this hole. Let's build this irrigation. Let's tear down some no trees. Didn't nobody tell you to do that? Divine Mother certainly didn't tell you to do that. But stillness, and this is what the beauty of this pandemic is. In 2020, we're all forced to be a little still in some way, shape, or form. Who are we in the stillness? Understanding that everything came from the void, the grand, beautiful void. If we tap back into that stillness in that void, we would see the grandness of ourself. But it's scary to be in the void. It's scary to be in the silence, because that one thing that you were taught and told and believed that you had to do might have changed, but you weren't paying attention. And if we all tapped into that, there's the seed of compassion right there. Wow, I was really being hard on so-and-so, but I got the call too, to ease up on the meat consumption, ease up on the, horse betting or betting on dogs, ease up on whatever, whatever your thing is. We all know it. We just have to be still enough to hear it.
Sometimes people are afraid of their own thoughts.
Ooh, girl, yes. It's scary. It is. There's a lot of shadows that come up that are there and we didn't know they were there. And until we get familiar with them, they scare us. And the shadows are here to say, no, bring me to the light. I want to walk with you now. But it's going to look different, Carissa. And that's what scares people, what that difference is going to look like.
I always say in stillness is the solution.
So, it's so true. It's so true. In stillness is the solution.
The soul, S-O-U-L for those listening. The solution. If you listen and get still, you'll find it. The next step, you may not know A to Z, but you'll figure out A to B. And the more you're still, I feel like a lot of times people they go to their pastor, they go to their rabbi, they go to a psychic, they ask their friend. They're always looking outside of themselves for the answer. Or they want the validation of what to do next, because they're not listening to themselves. They haven't gotten still. They don't have a hunch. They don't know how to get a hunch. The reality is you don't need to go to a psychic. You don't need to go to a rabbi. You don't need to go to a pastor. You don't need to go to any kind of guru. The answer and access to all of this information is all within all of us. The difference is some of us are more open to receive and have opened the gateway for the accessibility. But it's like access to court is a fundamental right? Access to universal laws and this cosmic law and order is a universal right. Your existence is your birthright to have access to this information. All you need to do is allow it in, ask for it, ask and you shall receive. That's like interrogatories. Do discovery, right? All lawyers love discovery. Do discovery, self-discovery, soul discovery. Do it. You will start finding the answers and you will start having your own hunches. And in the end, I think our moral compass is what we need to get clear on. And then that's going to guide our decisions in human form in this life, whether that goes to the food on your plate or the fashion you wear or whatever karmic, moral position you take on any issue. That comes not from necessarily veganism, but in stillness, meditation, in yoga. That's when you become tuned in to your own direction and you tune out what the TVs are telling you and all the chatter around you, because that confuses us and clutters us. You said earlier, it's vibrational. So the vibrational energy of our messaging is it's like garbage, it's noise. And with all that noise, you can't tune in to find the solution that is best for you.
Absolutely.
And everyone knows what's best for them in the end. They don't always listen, but there's a knowingness.
Absolutely. And it's about trusting that. It's really about, do you believe that you have the power? You were born with the power. You were born with the solution. My saying is, as you were born, so is the solution. The solution is in there, in you. It's in there. It's in all of us. We're all divine beings. We're all intelligent beings. It's there. It's just covered up with a lot of stuff. You are Shaman Durek, who I love. He says that be your own damn guru. You are your own damn guru. And people, as a life coach, that's what I'm not saving you. There's no savior complex. I am here to guide you in uprooting the things that have kept you from not seeing that you're great and then have a nice day. We all at times need different help in different ways. And that's what I'm here to do for you to walk in your greatness. Realize that. But even that begins with, do you believe that there is more to what you've experienced?
You believe. that are triggering like some of the greats. Okay. Like first you triggered like Wayne Dyer that I'm thinking of about let it be done, and nothing will be left undone. That one. And now you're reminding me of something Oprah said once that I remember, and it stuck with me. Oprah said, and there you can find the video on Facebook because it had like zillions of views because it's Oprah. And she basically said, if you are waiting for someone else to save you, rescue you, do, whatever, you're wasting your time. You need to take responsibility to save yourself, rescue yourself, do what you need to do in order to get yourself on track. Like she was saying, you can watch my shows and be inspired, but if you're just going to wait for someone to walk through a door to fix the situation, you're wasting your time. Only you can save yourself. But we should be, in life, it's all energy, right? So it's good and helpful to be around others that are vibrating at a level within which we can be inspired, because then we rise to that level. All of us, every single one of us, are either elevated or fall down based on those around us, based on the food we eat. It's all vibrational. It's not like one of us is always higher and better than another. No, we could be up here 1 minute and down here the next based on what's around us.
Absolutely.
Energy changes. That's another law. The only change is the only constant.
Mm-hmm.
That's the law. That's a universal law. Change is the only constant.
It's so very true. And you will be surprised what happens when you stand in a place of self-ownership. It does have the ability to change the environment, and your environment will automatically shift. You'll find your relationships shifting, your friendships shifting. You will find that all of a sudden you've met and attracted these amazing group of people, or they've been attracted to you because of the stand that you took in yourself. It's undeniable. Energy changes, and you have to be willing to go into that. Yes, you used to go to the chicken joint to eat, and you don't eat chicken anymore. And you could either have the power to say, hey, if you guys want to eat with me today, this is where we're going. Check this out. Check out this amazing chicken substitute. Or they're going to say, nah, I'm not going. And you're going to go and meet a group of people there that is very much like your soul family. But change is going to happen. Often, I think humans want to hold on to familiar and go into the new. And that cannot happen. You can't be lukewarm. You have to know once you're going to change, it all changes. When everything changes, and it's okay. And you're not alone, and you'll be supported. But it's just trusting that within themselves. Like, who's going to walk with me if I all of a sudden stop eating animals, stop wearing leather, who is going to be down with me? I love my friends. What are they going to say? I love my A, B, and C. What are they going to say? And sometimes you just have to take that jump and see. But it's a matter of trust, right? Trusting universal law, trusting infinite intelligence to know that I got you. This was already part of the plan. I got you. Walk it out. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes people in our life at different phases, because they match you at that time, and then wake up in a certain way, and then you might meet other people that match you in that phase in your life. And a lot of times it's a choice. Do you stay on the path with the person that maybe you're used to being with, who's no longer fully aligned, or do you allow yourself to continue a process where you feel compelled to go, which ties into, I think, the conversation earlier you were talking about with your husband, right? It's a lot of this is a choice, it's choice. It's choice. And it requires diving in and being with yourself to figure out what choice sits well with you.
Mm-hmm. And that's where it comes into knowing yourself, knowing your path, and owning the parts of your journey. What the decision I've made and some other people have made to be with someone who consumes whatever. It's not always an easy choice, but it's our choice, and it's owning that choice. And it's learning for us to express love in that way. Like we said before, some couples, it doesn't work. I've heard of couples not being together because of the difference in lifestyle. And that's okay. And that is okay too. Mm-hmm. And knowing that at any given time and any given day, anything can change. But mm-hmm. knowing that if your change is rooted in love and compassion, that you'll always be okay. I
should have changed the show title to saying the law of change, right? Mm-hmm. Change is the only constant, cosmic law and order.
That's
change
part two.
Constant. Yes.
That's part two.
That's where we're going. I mean, everything is always changing. The universe is always responding. Another thing I say in my book is you're always on the record. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Always on the record. The universe is always listening. The universe is always responding. And sometimes a thought comes into our head and it's not a good thought. And you need to watch your thoughts because you can manifest your thoughts. So if a thought comes into your head and you don't want it to manifest, you need to stop immediately, be conscious of that thought and say, motion to strike, cancel it, cancel that thought, motion to strike that thought. I don't want that to happen. So you're always on the record. The universe is always responding to you. So be careful what you're putting out there because you're co-conspirators in creation. The universe is your biggest partner in crime.
This is what I say every morning when I get up. I have a routine which involves me going into my closet for meditation and prayer and for gratitude.
You know, Oprah's meditated in her closet too.
I did not know that.
Yes.
I did not know that. But yes, I meditate. I have a big household, so there's not a lot of quiet spaces. So my closet is my quiet space. And in there, I say, any thought, belief, action, or ideology that takes me out of accordance with universal law, I ask for forgiveness from it right now. Because we have 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day. And me personally, I can't keep track of them. I know they're not all mine. And I do not want anything. I still have to be responsible for my prominent thoughts. What you said, hands down. But I also want to bring awareness for those that are beginning their spiritual or their compassion journey. Don't freak out. Like, oh my gosh, I just thought crazy. We're used to that. The reality is we're used to thinking crazy. So create a routine. Pardon?
Motion to dismiss.
Motion to dismiss. So that's it's essentially what I do in my closet. Now, throughout the day, I am aware, whoa, that doesn't feel good. That's not me, not doing it. But before I go to bed at night, when I wake up in the morning, just look, universe, go ahead and clear that slate for me again. I'm starting over new again today. You know, and it helps you take the burden off yourself for being human. We carry a lot of expectancy and we are human. We are spirit, but we're in this human suit. And that human suit comes with some weight. And we don't have to be victimized by the weight of the human suit. Be present, just be. And like Wayne Dyer says, sometimes that's all the doing that you have to be in. When you're beginning your vegan journey, there's a lot of people, even throughout your journey, that are hard on themselves. Oh man, I messed up. I had a piece of bread and I think it had butter in it.
Motion for leniency.
Motion for leniency. Oh man, I still got this leather jacket in my closet, but I've had it for 15 years.
I have that problem.
Yeah.
No, I have that problem in my closet. I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm being transparent because I believe in being transparent. I have a vintage leather jacket and it's officially vintage now because it was purchased in 1997 and it was a gift and I have it in my closet. I don't wear it. It is, what is this? Almost 24 years old. Mm-hmm. So before any journey. So this is just me being, transparent. You're not the only one, Carissa. So it's just motion for leniency. What do? We don't have to know it all. Where's our heart? That's what the universal scale is weighing. Where's your heart? I'm not saying go willy-nilly and do, honor your path. I'm not saying that, but we've had some old leather in our closet or one old piece of leather in our closet we don't know what to do with. You're going to err is human, they say. But the beauty of that error is you get to tap into yourself. You get to question what this is really asking of you. What does it mean? And 9 times out of 10, it's not to bash you and bring you down because that's a low vibration where the beautiful things like compassion and love and understanding and abundance live. So you don't want to get too deep on there, but motion for leniency. Thank you, Carissa. I think I'm going to use that with myself throughout the day.
I got to tell you, I got to get it out soon.
Come on, girl.
And that's the thing, like when you say, because you're a life coach and I want to give you an opportunity to tell us how we can find your services. But when you say you're not here to fix anyone, right? You're here to give tools. That's what my book is. It's tools, right? So like you're in the closet and you're meditating and you're saying your little prayer, right? It's the same thing that I'm giving in my book, but maybe this is just a tool, right? Like some people knock on wood because they don't want something to happen and they say, right? You can just, like, that's one tool to take an active action to cancel a thought. My tool in the book is motion to strike. Cancel
Mhm.
the thought. I don't want that thought. Just motion to strike it. I do not want that to manifest. You know,
Yep.
if I have anxiety and I'm stressed out and it's not productive to do that, then motion to dismiss. Or period. Exactly.
And just
Period.
leave it there. And that's the part we don't do.
No. Or, you know, you said earlier, like sometimes you just want a clean record, right? Well, you know, it's no different than the court of law, right? It's all about the record. What's on the record? Strike the record. Keep the record clean. A jury is going to make a decision based on the record. Your life is no different. You're always on the record. The universe is always listening. The question is your record clear? Are you expressing clearly to the universe what you want to manifest? Because that is what the record will reflect. So in law, let the record reflect is really no different than your life. You're here as a pro se representative of yourself. You can hire a lawyer to go represent you in court, but your birthright is your JD. Okay? You have access to court. And so long as you are an officer of God's court, God is in your court. And that's a period of the story. And so the book gives the tools within which you can play with to live your best life. So like you said, clear record, right? So sometimes we need a clear record. Sometimes we make mistakes. And that's not always motion for leniency. That might be, you know, motion to expunge. That relationship is done. I don't want it to haunt me anymore. I don't want it to remember it anymore. I made those mistakes. I need to move forward. I need a clear record. Motion to expunge.
Absolutely.
So it's just tools.
It's tools. It's tools. And I love to liken that. We all have a tool belt. I was speaking with a client. We all have a tool belt. I bought my husband his first tool set and he didn't open it for months. I was like, what's going on? This is what you asked for. But the reason is not every tool is needed for every moment. We have this tool belt, this arsenal, so to speak. And once something comes up that needs to get fixed or needs to get hung, that's when you take out the hammer. And even in the case of the hammer, you could use a hammer to put a nail in the wall and and the gavel, exactly, to bring attention. You could use it to pull a nail out the wall. You could use it to knock someone over the head. You have the tool. How you're going to use the tool is based on how you are vibrating and your intention. You have to set intention and believe in it. Belief is the mothership of all manifestation. So it's like, what are you choosing to believe in? But our tools, Marissa's book, my coaching and book, someone else's video series or lecture or whatever, they're just tools and they only work if you use them. If not, it's just that tool in that belt. Remember that thing you got there's people who've invested hundreds and hundreds of thousands in personal development and healing, all this stuff, but have no intention of using the tools.
Right. And that's the thing. So for some people, religion's a tool because it's a framework within which to operate to achieve this sense of feeling good, because I think that's the goal. Everyone wants to feel good. Everyone wants to feel love and give love. That's the goal. Feel good. How do you feel good? So sometimes we feel good through prayer and religion. Sometimes we feel good through meditation and our own prayer. And sometimes we feel good with other tools, right? It's just, it doesn't matter what your tool is. It matters that you take something as a tool with intention. And if you use it intentionally, then you're taking a deliberate action towards something which the universe will respond to.
Exactly. And how do you use that? That's exactly what your book is going to be about, what my lessons are about. How do you use the tools? How do you trust yourself to know that you can use the tool? You know?
Well, that's also a process.
Exactly.
Trusting yourself and discovery. Like I like to say that, you know, it's not about self-help. It's about self-discovery. And these tools that you can use are here to just help you further discover yourself, and you're never going to run out of things to discover.
Never. Self-discovery and growth and evolution is a lifelong and beyond this lifelong thing. That's what energy seeks to do. Energy thrives off growing and developing and being different things. And that's what we have to allow ourselves to do. That's tapping into the fun of life. How is the Most High going to express itself through me today? Wow. When you think of it that way, you are a willing tool in this building of this new world. You are a willing tool. So we got to learn to have fun and trust that and when we could see ourselves in another way, we certainly can see other living beings in a different way. You know, so it's really about how we reflect on ourselves and how deep we're willing to go in ourselves. Then you could easily respect other living things. And I do want to say something. I know our time, I can't believe it. It's kind of,
it's flying by.
and so I'm like, what? For all the vegans out there that are listening, it's very, very important to tap in to your emotional body, to how you're feeling. I have a very dear friend that recently transitioned. That was a surprise to everyone. And she was vegan for many years, way many years before me. She was vegan. She didn't drink. She didn't smoke. And she succumbed to cancer. And it's still, still weird to even say that. And there is emotional bodies and there's emotional burdens in our body that will manifest in certain ways. And as we are told we have a dis-ease, it's really an opportunity for us to look and see where in our life we're not in ease, we're not in flow, we're not allowing grace. Because no matter how you eat, how you serve others, either humans or animals, there is a self that needs to be heard, that needs to be loved, and needs to be served. Do not negate that within yourself.
I love that. Very powerful. So what are your services? Where can people find you? You're obviously very gifted at enlightening and giving us a message. Just that alone leaves me speechless. I'm at lots of words because your words are so well spoken. So we all need advice. We all need someone sometimes to put us back in check, even if we have the tools ourselves to do it ourselves. Sometimes we just need someone to help us find those tools. And it's about wanting to get in check, right? And wanting to access those tools.
Yes.
How can people find you? And
I am on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Yes, I am hireable. I'm on lifeandlightwellness.com. I'll put it in the chat room to be out here. It's just as it's spelled, no fancy spelling, life, A-N-D, lightwellness.com. I am hireable. I do have spaces available. I have a one-on-one coaching and a group coaching program coming out for men and women that I'm super excited about. You can also find me on social media at Life and Light Wellness, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and I'm on Clubhouse too, that new app, at L&L Wellness. I had to shorten it there because they don't give you that much characters. And my books, The Well, Where Fitness Begins From Within, and Joie de Vivre in Quarantine, you could find on Amazon and on my website, lifeandlightwellness.com. And I truly, truly am grateful, Carissa, for the opportunity to be on your show. I'm celebrating you and all that you are, all that you do, all the ways you show up for humanity. I thank you so much.
Thank you. You too. You're a fabulous person. I love it when I get these girl bosses on the show, these plant-powered girl bosses that are really out there changing the world, and standing up for the plant-based message. Because just because you're plant-based and vegan doesn't mean that you're fully enlightened. It just means that you've put together one piece of the big puzzle.
Correct.
While we're here on this planet in human form, we all live out different purposes in our life. We all have a different purpose. It's like the body. Some people is the heart, the lung, the organs, the kidney, right? We all have to work together in this world in one universe. And it's a collective consciousness. And just like our body is a collective organism of operations and intelligence, it's, we have to live here in service of our purpose.
Absolutely. And one more thing I wanted to add, some people might be wondering, well, what do you coach on? I help people get to the physical or the subconscious root of their physical manifestation, whether it's a mild disease, whether it's a mental challenge, whether it's just a block in their life, they can't get to the next level, or they're at a crossroads in their life. Listen, I just help people get to the root of the manifestation of that block so they can go on and live their best lives. Yeah.
It's so important, I think, too, that what you just said, because sometimes we keep finding a solution in terms of a Band-Aid rather than going to the root of the problem. reminds me, I went to the dentist this week for my cleaning, and he's like, you're grinding your teeth. You need to wear your night guard. And I'm like, I don't like the night guard. I don't want to wear the night guard. It doesn't work. He's like, we'll bring it back in. We'll readjust it. And I said, yeah, I brought it back in. He readjusted it. I still don't want to wear the night guard. He's like, you're grinding your teeth. It's really bad. It's worse than last year. And he goes, you need to wear your night guard. And I said, no, I need to get to the root of the problem, which is I'm stressed. I need to stop being stressed, and I'll stop grinding my teeth, and then I don't need to wear this night guard. Like, stop giving me the Band-Aid, because maybe the Band-Aid of the night guard will fix my teeth. But what about everything else inside of me that's falling apart because I'm so stressed, right?
You told him, and he was probably like,
he's like, who are you? All right, bye-bye. Forget the night guard. If ours doesn't work, go get the one at the drugstore. Try that one. It's $10. I'm like, yeah, thanks for wasting $500 for your expensive night guard that doesn't work, that I don't want to wear, and it's not fixing the real problem, which, as Carissa is totally and royally stressed out. So, this was like, okay,
you nailed it. You just nailed it to him, and it probably threw him off. But for Carissa and everybody else that's stressed, just know right here, right now, you are more than enough. You are more than enough. So this was awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're out of time, but thank you for joining me, and everyone else. Thank you for joining us this week for The Laws That Matter. We're here every week, same time, same place on Jane Unchained News Network. It's 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and noon